Thank you, Shravani. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you, everyone. So let's get started. So, last session, we discussed inheritance and super keyword. Anyhow, if anybody is having any doubt uh, regarding inheritance and super keyword, let me know. Today we will be continuing and we will be seeing from inheritance to dynamic dispatch with type casting traps. One of the most important concepts, as I have mentioned in our chat, like how these concepts will be important for your interviews and placements. So keeping that in point, let's get started with this topic. So last sessions, we seen the inheritance, and we also seen the two most common reasons we use inheritance for. Can someone help me out? Like, what are the two main reasons? There are many other benefits we have discussed, but what do you think, guys? What are the two main reasons we make use of inheritance? What are the two main benefits? Very nice. Thank you, Vishnu. One is the code reusability, right? So to promote the code reusability, we make use of inheritance. That's nice. So what are the other benefits? Like what are the other reason we use inheritance for? That's the major topic for today. So the second most important reason why we make use of inheritance is to use polymorphism. Okay, to use polymorphism. So first, let's have a quick revision about the code reusability, and then our major focus for today will be on polymorphism concept. Okay, so we have already seen this code reusability concept. Like we have taken four different classes like dog, crow, duck, lion. And we have seen like all of these classes has different methods like eat method, sleep method. And they also have some unique methods for each animal. Like dog has eat method, sleep method, and bark method. Crow will have eat, sleep, and fly method. Similarly, duck will be having eat, sleep, swim method, and lion has eat, sleep, and hunt method. So we, in this way, let's say we have hundreds and thousands of classes, and every class has different methods. You will be, you know, the pain of having a duplicate code here, right? So you have experienced the pain of duplicate code. Even we have seen one of the exercise like making a subscriber class and having methods like make call and receive call. Then making a WLS class and writing these methods and having the specific methods into it. And followed by BBS class where you have make call, receive call, send SMS, and receive SMS. So we have already experienced this duplication pain, like how you can write your code in multiple ways. And when you make a change in one place and you have to track down all other places where same or the similar code exists will be very typical one, right? So to overcome all these things, we have introduced inheritance and we have seen like instead of having these common, instead of having these methods duplicate in every class, like eat method and sleep method, what we did is we created the specific class called animal class, where we have implemented our eat and sleep method. Now in every class, we have inherited this animal class, okay, and have a specific method in all these classes. Now I can have only one eat and sleep method, even though I may have 1,000 classes, I will be having only one eat method and sleep method. So the code maintainability will be easy. Any changes made to any of these methods will not affect any others because only one time change can happen and all other classes can make use out of it. So this is the benefit of code reusability. And we have seen in real time, like how this code reusability will help us solving the real time problems. Okay. So with this, let's get into the polymorphism concept. Okay. And as a conclusion, let's see what inheritance gives us. So inheritance is the foundational of object-oriented programming. It allows one class, that is a child class or the subclass, to acquire the properties and the behavior from another class called the parent class or the superclass. Example, like dog is a type of animal, so the dog class can inherit attributes and methods from the animal class. Okay, attributes and methods from the animal. Now, with this, we'll not be concluding inheritance. We'll be talking further some more concepts, but let's get into polymorphism and let's see like the real power of inheritance with the polymorphism. We have already seen polymorphism before. Okay, so let's recall that polymorphism concept and let's see how inheritance supports the polymorphism concept in a different way. Okay, so we're going to go into the depth of this concept and a lot of interview concepts and a lot of interesting concepts we will be covering today. So let's get into it. So we know like polymorphism is a Greek word. Poly means many and morphism means forms. Okay. And we know that same method behavior, uh, different development on the object that calls it. So there are different ways you can actually implement polymorphism. So one of the way we have already implemented is called compile time polymorphism, which is also called as early binding or static polymorphism, or also called as method overloading, where we have seen like in a same class, we can have multiple methods, okay, with the same name but different signature. Now we will be getting into one step ahead. But before I get into the implementation of polymorphism, okay, using inheritance, I wanted to solve one simple example and let's see your understanding on these actually. Okay, so I'll make the code ready for that. So what we will do is here we have a test class. Okay. And inside this test class, or else I'll just create another class here. Okay. Let's create a class. I'm going to name the class as addition. Okay. I wanted to name the class as addition. We'll be having the opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. Okay. So I'm going to create a class called addition, which is going to perform the addition of numbers for me. I will be taking the variables of type private, the access modifier as private. So name the data type as int and name of the variable as a. Similarly, I'll take another variable here of type integer and name it as b. And I'll be having another variable for storing the result. Let's name the variable as c. Now I'll make a constructor which can be public. And name of the constructor will be same as the class name. Okay, name of the constructor is same of the class name, which takes these parameters like int a comma int b, and then I'm going to initialize these arguments to my variable. Now here, the compiler gets confused with the variable name and the argument name. To avoid that confusion, I have to explicitly make use of this keyword and I say this dot a is equal to a will initialize this field into this argument into a variable a here. And then I will also be doing same for the next field here, like this dot b is equal to b will initialize the second variable into the field as a. Then I'm going to make a method which performs the addition. Let's call that method as add. Okay, return as nothing, and I'll be making the name of the method as add or sum, whatever you call them. Now simply it will perform addition. C is equal to a plus b. Both gets added, and then I will also be fine. So this is how I wanted to perform addition of these numbers. So that's all in my class. So let's have a quick review. So here what I did is I created a class called addition. Okay, I created a class called addition. And then I have three fields, A, B, and C of type int. Okay, and then I created a constructor here which takes two parameters, A and B, which is accepting the value of A and value of B and getting initialized into these fields. Okay, and then I have a method called add, which is performing addition of the values, whichever you have initialized through constructor, those values gets added and then result will be stored in C. Now, to test this code, I'll be writing the logic inside my main method. So here we have a test class where I'm going to create the object for the addition class because I need to call this method add. So I'll be making an object, invoking the proper constructor here, which takes two parameters, and then initializing the fields properly, and then calling the add method to perform addition of these numbers, and then we'll be printing the result. Now, before I actually go and make the object for this addition, let's say addition object is equal to new addition. Okay. And then I'll be passing the arguments instead of like even I can accept from the user and then pass it, or I'll be passing the values directly here. So addition object is equal to new addition, and then I'll be passing 2, 3. So 2 will be stored in A and 3 will be stored in B. Now I'll simply call this addition method object dot add method, okay, which will perform addition of the numbers. And then I wanted to print the result. Let's say system dot out dot print ln, and then I'll be printing the object here. I'll be printing the object. Okay. So now see the code carefully and tell me like what will be the output for this program. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a class called addition. Then for that, I'm making an object at line number 43. I'm making an object of that class. Addition object is equal to new addition. Okay, and passing the values 2, 3. So this gets stored in local arguments like A and B, and then get initialized to these fields. So let me show you practically like what happens, what is exactly happening here. So here, if you look at this line, okay, if you look at this line, addition object is equal to new addition. You know, this is how you actually construct an object. So an object will be constructed. So here you can see an object is getting constructed with fields like A, B, and C. So A value, B value, and C. So 3 fields gets created, and it's locally initialized to. Okay, it gets initialized to 0 initially. Then I'll be passing these values to the constructor like 2, 3. So 2 will be stored in A. So A gets initialized to 2 and B gets initialized to 3. And this will be referred by the object called OBJ. Okay, this will be referred by a reference called OBJ. Okay, so this is what happens at this line. So line number 43 will create you an object where OBJ is referring to it, or I can just make it simple X for your convenience. Okay, let's call it as X as the object name. So I'll also be calling it as X, which is referring to this object. And then I'm calling this add. So what add is doing, adding both of these values and storing the result in C. So C will be stored as 5, or C will be initialized as 5. And then I will be printing this X. So my question to everyone, what gets printed, or what will be the value of the code? Okay, great. Would you like to justify like why it prints 0? Like I was not able to understand like why it prints 0. 5 makes sense because that's the result we are getting in C, but we don't have 0 because that initial value got replaced with the actual values, right? So 5 at least makes sense, but 0 would like to know like why you think like it prints 0. Okay. Now let us see no return type for that method. Yeah, it does not return. That's correct. But it's getting stored in this field called C. Okay. So that way it prints the value. Even if it returns, I don't think it matters. Okay. Even if you return this C, okay, let's say I return integer and then return C. What do you think now? Okay. What do you think will happen now when I print this X? You think still it prints 0? As you raise this question, so I changed the return type to integer and I'm returning this C. So it's okay. Like now you think it prints 5. Okay, great. So now let's run this code and see. I show both the code and let's see what gets printed. The result will be same to the previous code and this code. But now let's see what gets printed now. Now I'll be compiling my code. Okay, so I will give a command as Java C test.java. The code gets compiled if there is no errors. So there are no errors, the code gets compiled successfully. Now you will be surprised to see the output. The output is neither 5 nor 0. So would anyone else would like to say what will be the output before I press enter? Actually, it prints you something like this. Okay, it prints you something, the addition, which is the name of the class, followed by the hash code. Okay, we generally call it as an address. Okay, that what gets printed when I print an object. Okay, what gets printed when I print an object. We might never tried this before. That's why we getting this kind of confusion. But remember, anytime you print any object, anytime you print any object, the object will be printing this things similar to this thing. The name of the class at the rate followed by the hash code. Okay, the name of the class at the rate followed by the hash code or the address, you can say. So that is get printed whenever you print the address of the, the object for any class, whether it could be a bank class, whether it could be a subscriber class object, whether it could be an addition class object. So we generally think that it either prints result or it will print the values present in the object or it prints 0. So multiple answers we get it, but none of them was right because whenever you print an object, it prints you the name of the class followed by the hash code. Name of the class followed by the hash code. Okay. Now let's see who is doing this. Who is doing this? So let me show you. Yeah, Pranay, I'll explain again. To make you actually, there was a straightforward question you generally get in interviews that what gets printed when you print an object. To answer this question, I just created some khichdi. Okay, that's what I did. What was the question is what gets printed when we print an object? The simple answer is whenever we print any object, it prints you the name of the name of the class, followed by the address, followed by the address. Let's say if I create a bank object here. Let's say if I create a bank object now. How I create a bank object? I'll say bank. Let's see my bank class now. Bank class takes 3 parameters. So I'll say bank C1 is equal to new bank. Bank C1 is equal to new bank. And what I will pass here, I will pass the name of the customer, let's say Rahul, okay, the account number of the customer, and the balance of the customer. So I'm passing these 3 fields, okay, for the constructor. Now, if I simply go here and print C1, if I get this question in interviews, you will simply say that in this case, it will print the information about the customer, right? Like Rahul, the account number, and the balance. That is what everybody expects. Like whenever you make an object and when you print an object, you generally think that it's going to print you and whatever the topic I'm going to teach you, a very important concept for real-time programming because you do this very frequently. Okay. So expected thing is whenever I print this bank object now, okay, I was expecting like it prints the information about the bank, correct? But that's not going to happen. In this case, again, it's going to print me the similar thing. So it's going to let me compile the code, run the code. Oh, I haven't saved this. So that's why I'm getting the previous result. Now let me. Okay. So let me compile the code and show you this time, like what gets printed. So when I compile the code, I was getting an error because bank was in a different package. So I'll put this, just let me see the bank class now. Okay. I'll just remove the package for now. Okay, so that I can run and show you. So first I'll compile, okay, I'll compile this Java C test.java. Has the double access, okay, string. private access in the bank. Okay, did I created the constructor as private? Yes. Just to show you that constructors can be private, I created the constructor as private. So I was getting an error. So this is all we did long back, so I didn't remember. So let's compile now. It gets compiled. Now I run the code. Okay, you can see here that it's printing a similar thing again, right? So it's printing me the name of the class. This time the name of the class as bank, followed by the hash code. Pranay, is this clear for you now? That what happens when we print an object? So instead of directly showing you this, what I did is I created the addition class. Okay, I created the addition class, and then I did some addition and all. Then I try to print addition, expected like everybody will say that it will print result. So, but it's not printing us the result, it's printing the address of that particular object. Like in this diagram, it will have some address, right? Let's say 2001 is an address. Basically, addresses will be in hexadecimal, Pranay, and that is what getting printed here. Okay. Address of that object where it's pointing. If I create another object and I print that object, and that address will be printed. Let's say I create another object for addition. Okay, I create another object for addition. Let's say I wanted to say addition y is equal to new addition of 12 and 43. And then when I print x as well as y, okay, I print x as well as y. Okay, let's not, okay, let's let it be addition, nothing wrong here. And let's print y. So you can see here, the address of x will be printed, and here the address of y will be printed. Because here an object is getting created, which is referred by x, and here another object is getting created, which is referred by y. Okay, so you can see here both addresses gets printed. I mean, not exactly address because Java doesn't give you the address directly. And that's why you're getting a different output where it includes the class name as well. So now if I run this, you can see here that this is the address or the hash code for X, and this is the hash code for Y. Okay, so that's nice of you, Pranay. So now I would like to check for others as well. Now, is this clear for all? Now you're able to answer what gets printed when you print an object. Just a small confirmation so that I can show you who is doing this. Navya confirms yes. Thank you, Navya. Shruti says yes. Thank you. Shravani says yes. Thank you. Okay. Varshit, like if we can have some questions on this, it will be great. But again, I will tell you, like Nitesh also has some questions. Okay, Nitesh, let me know what was your question. Basically, Varshit, here I just explain what happens when you print an object. So whenever you print an object, the class name followed by the hash code gets printed. Now I wanted to show you who is doing this. I wanted to show you who is doing this actually. Okay. So let me clear the screen. I will show you who actually doing this. So there is a class in Lang package. You know that Lang is a default package. In this, we have a class called object. Okay, in this, we have a class called object. So java.lang.object. Let's see what is inside this object and who is doing this. So if you just press enter, you can see this object class. There's a class called java.lang.object, which has a default constructor followed by few methods, like hash code will give you the hash code of that object. Get class will give you the name of the class. Equals method, which you have used previously for comparing the content of the string or the object addresses. Okay, that you can use this equals method. ToString method, notify all, wait with parameters, and finalize method. One of the most important class, because most of the methods we're going to see coming like going forward, we're going to discuss most of the methods. But for now, who actually doing this, like who is actually printing that class name followed by the hash code is this guy. Okay, this is the guy who is actually doing that. So remember, whenever you print an object, for any class, whether it is band class, whether it is subscriber class, whether it is a student class, whether it is employee class, or whether it is our addition class. Whenever you print an object, the toString method gets called. The toString method gets called. And what is the default implementation of toString method? What is the default implementation of toString method? That printing the name of the class, followed by the hash code. Okay, that's the default implementation, meaning inside the object class, okay, inside the object class, the toString is implemented as printing the class name followed by the hash. Now I would like to wait here and check, is this concept clear for all? Like, who is printing that data? Who is printing that output? So now let's see what is the magic behind it. Okay. So I told you like the object class. Okay. What is so important about the object class? Basically, this is the parent class for all the classes. So that's why the object class is also called as universal superclass. The object class is also called as universal superclass. Okay. So knowingly, unknowingly, you are inheriting from this object class from the day one. Even you write the smallest program in Java, you're using inheritance from the day one. Okay. Because object class will be inherited automatically. And you know that it has methods like equals method, hash code method, toString method, wait method, notify method, and all. But this toString method, okay, the default behavior of the toString method to return a string consisting of a class name, an @ sign, and the object hash code, which is nothing but the memory address. Which is nothing but the memory address. I hope this slide uh, uh, makes it clear for you that what exactly happening whenever you're printing an object. Is this slide clear for all? What is this object class is all about, and what is the default behavior of toString method? The object class is the parent class for all the classes. It is called as universal superclass, and all the methods from this class is directly available to you, because you know from the inheritance concept, like child class have all the methods available from the parent class. Okay. So toString method is available to you. And that's why whenever you're printing an object, the toString method is getting called. And the default behavior of the toString method inside the object class is to print the class name followed by @ and then the hash code, which is nothing but the memory address. It is nothing but the memory address. But now my question is, can I change the behavior of this toString method so that it will print the result as per my requirement whenever I'm printing the object? Can I change the behavior, the default behavior of toString method, so that I can print my requirement? Like in bank class, whenever I print the object, I should print the data of the bank customer. Here I wanted to print the result. Okay, that is sum of both the numbers, maybe explicitly creating it. Okay, so what is that concept? We call it as Varshit. Going good. So others can help Varshit. Like Varshit is telling, like we can explicitly define it. So I wanted to know what is that concept called as? What is that concept called as? Okay. Let me show you a similar scenario. Let me show you a similar scenario here that will make you understand a little better way. Okay. Yes, that's nice, Vishnu. So let us see here the similar scenario you can have. Let's say we have a class here called parent. Okay, we have a class here called parent. Okay, and inside this parent class, we have few methods. Inside the parent class, let's say we have methods. Void, we have a method called property. We have a method called property. And inside this method, you have a lot of properties. Let's say I'll be printing system.out.println. I will be printing something called 500 crores as a property. Okay, as a property, 500 crores as a property. It has another method here called car. Okay, it has another method called car, and I will be printing the car as nano. Okay, the nano car. So this is your parent class. Okay, this is your parent class, which has two methods now, the property and the car. The property worth rupees 500 crores and the car as a nano car. Now, let's say you are the child class. Okay, you are the child class and extends from the parent class, extends from the parent class. So all these behaviors, okay, all these behaviors are directly available to you, right? All these behaviors are directly available to you. Now you can make use of this property, 500 crores. Okay, you can make use out of it. Even this nano is available to you. You can drive this nano. But let's say this is your first day for your college. Will you be happy to drive nano car to your college? Because this property car and whatever the members the parent class has, they are directly available to you, right? So my question to everyone here, will you be happy to have this 500 crores as a property, getting it from parent? And that's what an advantage we have seen with inheritance, right? So whenever you extends from parent, all these are available to you. Now, being a child class of your parent, you have 500 crores and you have a nano car. Okay. So will you be happy to have this 500 crores? Or you say, no, I don't want this 500 crores. I will have my own implementation. Yes or no? Come on, I need your point of view in this example so that we can actually step into the actual topic. Okay. So great. So in that case, what actually being a child class, can you have your own implementation of car method as Varshit suggested? Like, can you have your own implementation for car? I mean, can you rewrite this method, even though it's available? Can you rewrite this method, void car? Okay. And then you can have your own car, system.out.println, and you can have at least this BMW. Okay, because you already have this 500 crores, right? You can purchase a new car and you can have your own implementation. That's very nice. Varshit, yes, this concept is basically called as method overriding. This concept is basically called it as method overriding. So what is method overriding or the polymorphism? We generally call it as runtime polymorphism. We'll talk about it more. But what is the need of method overriding is very important. The need of method overriding is if you already have the implementation for some method in the parent class, but you don't like the implementation, so you have an option to rewrite that method and can have your own implementation. But as Navya says, she don't want to rewrite this property method because obviously everyone here will agree, because you don't want to say that I will not take this 500 crores, I will earn from my side. So that all happens in movies, not in real time. So you'll not be happy to rewrite the property method, right? You'll not say that I'll start from 0 rupees and then I will earn my own money. I'll not take this 500 crores. You'll not rewrite this method, but the implementation you don't want, you have an option to rewrite this car. Agree with this example, everyone? You all understood what is method overriding means? Rewriting of method of parent class into child class is called method overriding. Rewriting of method from parent class to child class is called method overriding. Now, getting back to our example, can I rewrite the toString method here? Can I override my toString method? Can I override my toString method? Yes. And can I change the behavior, the default behavior of the toString method? Yes. And this is a very common practice, guys. Okay. This is very common practice in real time, that you will always override this toString method so that you can print the content as per your requirement instead of having the default behavior. So what I will do is I will override the toString method. So from where I'm overriding this toString method? From the object class. Okay. And object class is a parent class for all classes. So obviously object class is a parent class for our addition class as well. Now I will go here and rewrite my toString method. So public, okay. The return type was string. So I will tell the rules of overriding as well. Okay. The name of the method is toString. The name of the method is toString, does not take any argument, and simply it will return the string. So what I want to print? I want to print sum is equal to concatenate with C. So this is what I wanted to print whenever I'm printing an object. So this is my method overriding. This is my method overriding because there is a method called toString in the parent class, okay, which is of access modifier public. You might have noticed when I shown you the toString method, and it returns the string. So return type is string, not void or int, as it returns the string value. And I return whatever I wanted to print or whatever I wanted to display. Even in my bank class, I can also override the toString method and print the information like name is equal to, account number is equal to, and balance is equal to. So I can override toString method in every class. Okay. So let's see whether this works or not. So I have overridden the toString method. That's all about overriding. Okay. Now I'll be printing the object and let's see what gets printed here. For the first, let's see with X, whether it's getting printed 5 or not, whether it is getting printed 5 or not. Now let's go and compile our code again. So the code gets compiled. Okay. And now if I run, what do you think, guys? Will it be printing sum is equal to 5 now? Sure, Yashwant. But now let's try to answer this. Like, what do you think, guys? Will it be printing 5? Let's see. I'll be printing. Oh, it's not printing 5 version. Why it's not printing 5? But it should give me an error, right, Vishnu? If I'm making any mistake, it should give me an error. It's not giving me an error that I'm not overriding the toString. And I wantedly made this as small. I thought of someone will tell, but it's good that we have experienced that it's not overriding properly. But why I'm not getting error? Because it thinks it's a different method. Okay, it thinks it's a different method, and this is not getting called. This is not getting called. But if you want the compiler to check whether you're overriding properly or not, we have a special annotation called @override. We have a special annotation called @override. If you write this @override, okay, you're telling a compiler that I'm trying to override a method from the parent class. You please check, am I following the rules? There are few rules for method overriding. Even today I have posted one question in the group that's all related to the rules for method overriding. So it will check whether you are overriding the method properly or not. It's not mandatory that every time you're overriding should use this, but it's always a good practice because you're requesting the compiler to check whether you're overriding or not. Now, this time the compiler will give me an error saying that you're not overriding properly. Previously, it worked fine, but it did not get the output. But this time, it will complain me. Now, when I compile the code, the compiler complaining me that method does not override or implement method from the super type. From the super class, it's not overriding the method properly because I made spelling mistake. I made spelling mistake. So I agree with Vishnu, and now I will be giving S as capital. So this will be perfectly overriding. Now you can see I will not be getting any compilation error. It means my method is perfectly getting override. Now let's run and see whether I will be getting the correct result or not. Yes, I will be getting the result sum is equal to 5. So what you have understood from this program, two things you have understood from this program, that whenever you print an object, the toString method gets called from the object class, and the default behavior of the toString method is to print the class name followed by @ and then the object memory address, which is nothing but the hash code. Second thing you have learned that you have an option to override that method. Okay, override that method unless it's not final. You have an option to override this method and change the behavior of that particular method. A very common practice for overriding these toString. So that's why I have explained this toString, I mean method overriding with this example so that you can actually understand the need of method overriding. You can actually understand the need of method overriding. So what is method overriding? If you already have a method in the parent class, but you don't want the implementation of the parent class method, then always you will have an option to rewrite that method in child class in a proper way and print or write the logic accordingly. Write the logic accordingly. It's not necessary always you need to write at override, but it is always a good practice to write it because the compiler will check whether you're overriding properly or not. Whether you're overriding properly or not. Let's say if I do any mistake, let's say I don't use this modifier. I don't use this access specifier, then my compiler will complain me that you're not overriding properly because again, I'm not following rule here. So it complains me again saying that toString method in addition cannot override here because attempting to weaker access privilege. So I'll be getting an error because I'm not overriding the toString method properly. So there are some rules to be followed while overriding the method. So this is about method overriding. I would like to wait here and see if we have any questions from method overriding. So the subclass override. To make an object print output meaningful, the subclass overrides the inherited toString method. So you can override this toString method and change the behavior of the. And we also seen at override annotation. I told you like at override notation, while overriding a method, we will use this to consider as a best practice for coding for following two advantages. One advantage is if a programmer makes any mistake, such as wrong method name, wrong parameter type while overriding, you will get a compile time error. By using this annotation, you instruct compiler that you are overriding this method. If you don't use annotation, then subclass method would behave as a different way, as a new method. So that's why it's always a good practice to use at override. And second reason is for maintainability and readability. Okay, it will increase the readability of your code for using this at. Okay, so this is all about method overriding. So when a subclass redefines a method that already exists in its parent class, then it's called method overriding. Let's say we have a class called animal, which has a eat method. Now lion it extends this animal class and rewrite this eat method saying lion is eating meat. And similar way, let's say we have a cow class which extends from animal and rewrite this eat method as cow is eating grass. So this is called method overriding. So if already we have a method in the parent class and you wanted to rewrite the method in the child class with a different implementation, is called method overriding. It's called method overriding. And if we can have questions, that will be great. Sangeeta confirms yes. In previous program, compiler was not accepting default specifier. Yeah, those are all about rules, Anirudh. That's the next topic. I'll be talking about the rules for method overriding. Okay. But till now, whatever we have covered, okay, do you have any questions? You don't call override method in main class. Manoj, sorry, I did not get your question. Can you tell me with some example? You can also override in like in you want about test class? Yeah, even test class can override toString method. So any class can override toString method, but it gets called whenever that particular object is getting printed, right? As I'm printing addition object, so toString method of addition is getting printed. So if you wanted to override toString inside the test class, so whenever I print that test class object, then the toString method of the test class gets printed. I hope that's what your question, what I have understood. Along with few interesting concepts like overriding the toString method is the most important question for interviews. And the next question we also printed what gets printed when you print an object and what exactly happening internally. Okay. And the need of method overriding. There is no need to write x.toString. Yeah, no need to write x.toString. That's nice, Manoj. Even you call will get the same output. It gets internally called. So even if you write, that's a good question from Manoj. Even if you write toString, it gets same output. Previously as well as now, even though you call toString, you will get the same output. Okay. So no need of toString because it automatically gets called. That's very nice of you, Manoj. Okay. So when I compile this code and run the code, I'll be getting sum is equal to 5. Even in our previous case, Manoj, even if I don't have override this toString, if I call x.toString, I'll be getting the default implementation. Okay, but it's correct to call. Even though you don't have toString, you still can call and you can see I'm getting the default implementation. I hope now you got your question answered, but very nice question. I hope you all agree with Manoj. Like no need of calling this toString explicitly inside main because it automatically gets called whenever you print an object. And that's what we discussed or that's what we started our discussion with. Like whenever you print an object, the toString method gets called implicitly. You don't have to call explicitly. Okay, even though you call, makes same sense, but no need of it. Yeah. You don't have to call this toString method explicitly because whenever you print an object, the toString method gets called, okay, of the object class now because we did not override. But the moment you override the toString method of your class gets called.